You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half of the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Connecting with customers is really important. Living in a very online world and working in a very in-person convenience channel requires a special skill set, and today's guest is an expert that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Welcome to Convenience Matters. I'm Carolyn Schnare with NACS.
And I'm Britt Brewer with NACS.
And today we're joined by a guest and my friend who I've known for many, many years. And Derek Gaskins is a legendary figure in the marketing circles with the convenience industry and beyond. And I've had the privilege of working with Derek back in the day when he headed up NACS marketing department too. I like Derek's Instagram description, and so I'm going to read that here as his introduction. A marketing superhero, a retail maven, and a connoisseur of the finest things in life. God-fearing, family-loving, and always striving for excellence. Today, Derek is the Chief Marketing Officer for Yesway Convenience Stores, and we're very happy to have him with us. Welcome, Derek.
Thanks for having me. That was quite the intro. Seems like a bit of a setup, but I will have to do my best to live up. I did not know you were going to scour the Instagram. I was actually sitting here like, oh, wow, what's on my Instagram? Because I haven't looked at that since I set it up. So thankfully, it's nothing that I have to clean up now. Thanks.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, I was doing my research, which, you know, what an interviewer, podcaster does. And I just was like, yeah, I don't have to even think through this one. That one's perfect. I'm stealing it.
Love it.
Well, Derek.
So hey, Britt, didn't mean to leave you out too.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're so happy to have you.
Well, you are, we've been friends for many years, going back from your time at NACS, and now you're at Yesway, and keeping up with you is amazing. You're all over the place. So I guess my very first question is, where are you today?
Right now, I am in front of one of my stores in Jacksboro, Texas, heading towards West Texas. So actually working my way over towards Lubbock. We're in the midst of rolling out Western Union to all of our Awesome stores, and we completed the integration. So being boots on the ground, trying to work with the operations group as well as all of the team members in the stores, and also just being a presence, trying to get things done. So traveling, and it is a bit like Where's Waldo, but this week in West Texas.
Yeah. And Derek, I'm curious, how has that been for you, needing to be on the road during this, very strange time that we've had kind of throughout last year and now kind of into the beginnings of 2021? Can you just describe what that's been like for you?
Strange times is a great word, because it has been a roller coaster. I mean, going back to 2020 when COVID first hit, I did ground myself temporarily, but early on, I think we were one of the first groups to travel, and really props to NACS and the work that you guys do, because the fact that we are essential retail operations meant that our stores never closed. And when things really started to get worse in April and May, and around that time frame, it was scary. I mean, there's just no other word to put on it. I have no illusions that I'm some, person that's immune to it. And I took all the precautions and did my best to social distance. And you could just see how different it was from airline to airline, right? I mean, some of them would not sell the middle seats. Others, I think, as they cut flights back, it made a bad situation worse. So I was on packed planes in April and May in the height of the pandemic. And then, as summer, it's not that things necessarily calmed down, but I'll say the road trip came back. And so our stores got even busier. Just people were driving, and we happen to operate in a lot of tourist destinations. We have stores up in and around South Dakota, for instance. So we actually have a store in Sturgis. So when that was going on, our store was open, and we were dealing with all of that rush. And all around Mount Rushmore and Custer and Deadwood and some of these places. And even some of our stores in New Mexico are in Roswell. So, started to see early on that this would last far longer than I thought. I almost laugh at it because looking back, we thought, by June, we'll be traveling and things will be back to normal.
And then
oh my God.
Yeah. And so you're always moving it, right? Yeah. So,
right.
I would say that the best things, Carolyn, were just, I have relentlessly and religiously worn the mask. I carry sanitizer with me. I've used gloves sometimes if you're in a situation where I feel I'm, resetting stores or touching a lot of product and coming across people. And it has been trying because it's been a bit like a roller coaster. When we think things are getting better, there's a second wave, a third wave, a fourth wave. And,
I'm drowning in an ocean. There are no waves.
Drowning in an ocean of all these waves, but still traveling, doing my best to be safe.
Very, very good. So that leads perfectly into kind of one of these. The next question I have is, beyond keeping yourself safe, your family safe, and your staff, which is it's a huge mountain to climb. How have your marketing plans changed? You said with the resurgence of the road trip and having to, kind of quickly figure out how to serve these customers who, and I'm just kind of curious how your marketing plans had to pivot. That's a word that we're all, probably sick of, but what did you do? How did you get your team to say okay, here we go. This is the plan.
Yep. I think some of it, the two words that I've used, and I'm laughing because pivot is one that everyone gets sick of hearing, but being flexible and being agile. So early on, the marketing plan became less about promotions, right? You don't want to be that person out there saying, hey, this is on sale, and it's the middle of a pandemic. So
you get out of the house and maybe rub elbows and all that.
Yeah. So, you have to understand what your consumer is going through. And so those messages were all about be neighborly. And in the earliest days, actually, when it was pantry loading and then panic buying, we had signs up around COVID. So most of my marketing, in all fairness, was around trying to get a spirit of empathy in the stores, trying to depoliticize something like wearing a mask. I just, was shocked at how challenging that was. And, for us, we launched a program called Hospitality Heroes that became our marketing program from the summer. And literally it continues now. And, we're on our third wave of it. And in essence, Hospitality Heroes is a positive reinforcement program, but consumers hear about it. And it was more geared around how can I wade into this territory, especially in some of the markets where we operate, where highly politically charged, and say, if you wear a mask, stores are clean, well-maintained, socially distanced, we're in stock. Customers, nominate your store. We want your voices heard. Team members, realize we have mystery shoppers out there, and we're giving out cash spot prizes and armed the DMs, RMs, all of our team that were in the stores, kept them doing it right. Change the dialogue. It's not, hey, put your mask on. What the hell are you doing? It's more of a great job. You are modeling what we want, and you're doing it in such a way that you have really taken the tension and the hostility out of this and try to make it a positive. And, whenever there's cash, of course, that's a good marketing incentive and people want to win. So creating that culture. But I would say the most challenging thing was to move away from promotions, to make sure that as much as we were benefiting when the world was closing around us, the sales are growing, don't raise prices. No one wants to be that guy and, or a gal. And we look back at other crisis moments that in my retail history, I still can think back to 9/11. When I was at Giant Eagle and at Get-Go, and have been in share groups or talked to, NACS members about it. And, no one has forgotten those retailers that all they did was merely pass on a temporary price increase, but it seemed like they were gouging. And 20 plus years later, customers are saying, I'll never go to that place because they raised fuel prices. We didn't want that to happen on the inside. So a lot of the noise and the rush to want to advertise and market, it was quiet down. Let's listen. Let's be part of the solution. Let's understand people are going stir crazy. And in many times, our stores became, it sounds weird to say this, but they became outlets. I saw the trends just from customer comments where they were saying, thank you that you're open. I've been shut in for so long and I didn't realize I could buy, the most random things. And, because of our fill-in focus with our merchandising, we had things like toilet paper where no one could get toilet paper, or we had hand sanitizer when that was out. And so those became what we marketed, and really taking a more thoughtful long-term view around building the brand.
Well, and you mentioned, just using the word hero. I mean, it is, and it was scary. I mean, it still probably is scary. I can't put myself in the shoes of someone who has to go to work and see customers day in and day out who may refuse to wear masks, may wear a mask, may come in coughing and sneezing underneath their mask. Who knows? But it's terrifying, I'm sure. And to be able to be recognized by your customers and by you guys at your corporate headquarters by just saying things like you're a hero and being voted on by their customers who are coming in every day, and really understanding and appreciating that these store workers are, I don't want to say risking their lives, but they're out there doing what's right for the customers and making sure they get what they need quickly and conveniently. But it's special that you did that. And I'm very sure all of your employees completely appreciated it too and recognized it.
No, I mean, it's, certainly will give all the credit to the team members. And I think you're right. They are risking their lives. And, if this period hasn't taught us anything, it's been very humbling. And I just think for those of us who can work remotely or do things from the comforts of home and don't have to be on the front lines, much as you said, it's a luxury. And I've made that clear to my team. It's the old proverb that every retailer talks about. We say there are no registers in the corporate office. Well, when you're in this environment of a pandemic and some of the things that happen, and you see those registers in the stores and those heroes, like you said, that are showing up, it just grounds you and gives you a whole different perspective.
Derek, I really appreciate all of those comments and for you being so thoughtful. I feel that you're certainly living up to your Instagram profile at this point. You're doing the Lord's work, so thank you. Quick question about, I know you've been in the industry for a long time, like a dozen years. So I know that you love the industry. I'm curious what you love about it. Is there anything specific about, convenience or, what makes it special for you?
Great question, Britt. Convenience is king. And first of all, it's been over 20 years, sadly. So I'm old. I used to be the young marketer with all the ideas, and now I'm the old wise vet.
Seasoned, distinguished.
Seasoned.
CMO.
There you go. I like that. I think that the main thing about convenience is actually three things. Okay, first is the speed. So customers rely on us and they expect speed of service. And I think that differentiates it. I think the other aspect is while the stores are small, it almost has a one-stop shopping aspect to it, because many of us and, NACS members, even globally, when you look, you can get everything from air in your tires to a car wash to money orders. You can pay bills in our stores.
And Western Union. Yeah.
In Western Union, right? I mean, there's you can send telegrams if you still wanted to do that. But from food service to beer, wine, spirits, and all innovations, I think tend to come through this channel. When you look back at the past, let's say 30 years and all of the popular product trends, 2 years ago, I would be at Nats ballpark or at Fenway at a Red Sox game. And, seltzers were just starting to get a little bit of traction, but in our stores, they were booming. And, before seltzers, it was, the products like Bang or the energy drinks from Red Bull and Monster and Celsius and all of our other products and, energy shots. You look at vaping, you look at CBD when you know what's happening. I mean, we stay on the leading edge of product and service trends. Then I would say that the last thing is really just more from an economic standpoint. I think the pandemic has validated that the convenience channel is built to last. There were three main winners. There was local retail, which convenience has always been about, on the corners, from a mom and pop to down the road, on the way store, a bodega, it's in the neighborhood. I think the second big winner has been value-based retail. So whether it's a mass or club store or a dollar store, clearly the consumers have voted with their dollars and value is winning. And then we all know that the acceleration age and the main primary winners were e-commerce. So everything having to do with curbside to order ahead, mobile payments, all of that. And convenience has a voice and a role in all of that. And I think as a channel has one of the longest runways. So I love it, right? And it's not for everyone. It's fast. It changes constantly. But if you are motivated by that, it's nothing else like it.
So you're right. I mean, it's convenience. I mean, it all comes down to different forms of convenience, having what you want when you want it, right? Where you want it too. So one other thing, which is kind of another convenient thing that's come about in our last 12 years or 20, whatever you want to say, whichever number you want to stick with the two in it, is the iPhone or mobile phones. I mean, I remember when you and I first started working together, we had them, but we didn't rely on them. In fact, I think this is going to throw us back. You introduced me to Foursquare, and we talked with Foursquare, and these really, and then like Facebook was kind of around. But
you guys have known each other a long time.
We have.
We have.
The rotary phone to get in touch with each other. But that's from what you probably went to school with, and what I went to school with was we learned different things in marketing and in the way you grew up, to where now a lot of your marketing is probably mobile based. So what are some of the major changes and differences that you've seen in how you take your marketing expertise from way back when to now, and phone, mobile, everything? Yeah,
great point. And, the first thing that actually jumps to mind, Carolyn, is that keynote that Scott Hartman gave. I think that was like 05 or 06. Like the iPhone came out in 07. And I remember how prescient he looks now in retrospect, because everything we're doing, he said, everyone's going to have these phones that are touch screens only. And I can even think that when the first iPhones were rumored, most of us had BlackBerries then. Yeah. And we were picturing something with a, QWERTY keyboard on it, like a BlackBerry, or a hodgepodge of an iPod with a BlackBerry keyboard, maybe a camera, right? And to see where we are now is like, whoa. And, even looking at my kids and their experience with schooling and how different it was than my experience with any level of schooling, from, high school through college and grad school and all of that. I mean, they're doing things that are of this age and so mobile that it's even now jumping to the Internet of Things and what, everyone talks about, from wearables and all of this. But to your main point, I think the main thing is that relentless focus on the customer and understanding their needs and wants and how they use the technology or any vehicle that they engage with, and making sure you have relevant content there. At its heart, advertising and marketing and branding, it's about storytelling. So, what medium can you tell your story in? And, we've all heard about, when Reed Hastings was trying to get Blockbuster to buy out Netflix, and Netflix thought it was a fad. And, we've heard about I think it may have been Larry Ellison. I'm not sure, but it was either Oracle or Google. And then a bunch of the Hollywood studios saying people won't watch, movies or videos on their phone. Well, okay, now that's the only way people watch things. And so I think going back to being flexible and being agile, it's important that, we change through the times. And I think that speed that the convenience channel has always been proud about, that's our biggest threat too, right? I mean, this current age that we're in, I've coined it and have been calling it the acceleration age, because it seems like a lot of things that were pretty far off are now here. Everyone is doing some form of e-commerce now, and EVs went from being something that only the wealthy had to now it's mainstream. And, look at Tesla and their growth. And, I'm a car guy, so I look at everything from Ducati to, as a motorcycle to Lamborghini, and you look at their roadmaps, all of them have EVs as, within the next 2-3 years, that's what they're going to be selling. And that seems like it happened overnight.
Yeah. The Mustang just came out with an electric vehicle. Like, didn't it just?
There you go.
I think Jeep is trying too. Derek, so kind of as I love how you have this tremendous viewpoint as a now CMO, and you've certainly done a lot of work to get where you are. I might have done a bit of LinkedIn checking on you and noticed that you have an MBA from Northwestern, from the Kellogg School, which is often, I think, voted the #1 marketing MBA program in the country. And curious if you have attended the executive education program that NACS partners with Kellogg on. It's our marketing leadership program. I don't recall if you've ever been.
So I personally have not, but I have sent team members of mine. And I am a major advocate. I was actually still at NACS when Hank and Carolyn and Michael Davis and some of the team were talking about some of these things that are now mainstream. Yeah. And, just Hank's vision of, let's get these partnerships with world-class institutions. And, today to see partnerships with Cornell, now with Kellogg.
And Yale, MIT, and Wharton. Yeah, it's a 5-program series now. And I had the great fortune of getting to attend the Kellogg program a couple years ago, and just kind of thinking about how to stay nimble and on top of things, and especially as the world has changed so drastically. I just would urge you maybe to continue to send people to this program, and maybe we'll get you in there someday.
No, Britt, and just the value, right? I mean, having me attending Kellogg and, knowing what those loans look like for me to finance my MBA. And I
brushing up on some of those skills that maybe, we haven't touched on as often as we should. Anyway, program is this July. If you want to join us, we would love to have you.
Britt's certainly in our marketing group. She's good at this.
Yeah, Britt, I like that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, you guys.
Always be closing. Love it.
Always be closing. Indeed.
Maybe I call that. Should that be the name? Maybe that's the name of the podcast. Hey.
Yeah. ABC. There it is.
So, Derek, one last question, and then we'll let you get back on the road, because I know you're busy out there getting to stores. So many things have changed. You mentioned it too. Just from like the delivery, the carry out, all those buzzwords, pivoting. What is like maybe 1 or 2 positive changes that the industry's done that you hope just that maybe Yesway, just in general, that our industry has adopted that you really hope just goes gangbusters and stays around forever?
That's a great one too, Carolyn, seriously, because I think the first thing that I noticed was every company in our industry stepped up. And, while we rely on NACS and we lobby and we look for keeping the government out of our businesses, let's just be candid there, and making sure that when they are involved, that is done through a spirit of what's right for the consumer or right for small business. I think the higher wages and giving paid time off and making sure that those heroes working on the front line who were risking their lives had healthcare and had coverage. That's something that unilaterally you almost can't name a top 100 C-store retailer that did not make that move and made it part of how they go to market. So that would be the main thing that jumps out. Is I think we focused on our people and lived up to the promise of, every company says I'm a people first business and it's all about my people, but very few actually mean it. I think this forced us to mean it and made everyone go there. I think the second thing would be with the product mix, right? So we took pride in, we operate in more suburban and rural markets, and I think that everyone has to figure out what their strategy is. But when the world closes and you have groceries and you have things that I used to consider slow moving categories or categories that I did not focus on, they are now, I won't go as far as to say that they're priorities. I mean, food service and packaged beverages and toilet, right. But no, seriously, having toilet paper and having HBA, health and beauty aids, and having, things that someone could reasonably get by. And, I know NACS has done a great job of saying, you don't want to operate in food deserts. And, that's been a personal passion of mine. I was raised in the inner city, so I've always appreciated companies who put their best foot forward, regardless of where their stores are located, right? If it's in an inner city or in a rural market where food deserts often are, I think I've seen more convenience stores and operators add fresh produce, fresh milk, eggs, toilet paper, but, things that are at a value that's reasonable. And so I would say those are the two things that I hope stick and stay. And I believe that they will, because they're good business. And I think the companies that did both of those moves, they have been able to stay open and will continue to thrive and grow. And, you've identified new categories of growth to help offset some of the declinations in traffic that you may see from fewer gallons being sold or just fewer customers through the doors on a day-to-day basis. Your baskets are now significantly larger and you're selling more, high margin products across the center of your store or in perishables, produce, and those types of fill-in opportunities.
That's exactly right, Derek. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your sage advice, and you're on the road seeing this every day. And so from directly from the source, we really appreciate you taking time to be with us today. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom as we wrap this up?
No, well, just thank you both. I would say final thoughts are, let's get back to in-person events.
To do things, to go to a ball game and order a beer. Oh, just heaven, right?
Let's just do it. Yes.
You, both of you.
I miss you too, honey. I miss being just down the hall from you and popping in to say hi. But again, soon, my dear. Again, soon. And you too, Derek. Looking forward to seeing you, hopefully, fingers crossed, at several in-person events across 2021, NACS events. We've got kind of a variety of virtual and live on the calendar right now. So fingers crossed we can do some of that live in-person stuff sooner rather than later. Indeed. Just keep sending up those prayers, God-fearing man that you are.
You got it. Thanks, Britt. It was great talking to you as well.
Appreciate it, Derek.
And thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.